they sack their own Reclaimer, which means they need the mana. There are certain tricks you can do on upkeep, but it's tough when they have a Pour It Out too. To play around the Tabernacle, you really need a Cradle. Jesus. Okay, so luckily they aren't attacking our lands yet. Not everybody knows that there's only 2 forests in most elf decks. Sometimes 3, but I think that's overkill. Yep. Yeah, this matchup is not fun. Is the sound off? Can you hear me? Okay, let me see. So this bog is helpful here. Can you guys hear me or no? Okay, yeah, wasn't sure. I think we're gonna lose game 1 here again. This is a very difficult matchup. The sideboard helps, but we shall see. This is one of the few matches where it's hard to win without Gaia's Cradle. And this is a problem. Normally I don't mind losing, but it's a slow death too. A Gaia's Cradle off the top would do a lot here. So we can potentially threaten lethal with Natural Order. The other reason why I don't like this matchup as much too is because these triggers take a lot of time. Yep. We have outs, but that out is Gaia's Cradle at the moment. We can also just pitch the symbiote, and that will. Well, actually, that wouldn't even matter. I'm trying to unlock mana for the Visionary too, so we can speed up. So that don't you add all mana instead of doing? Yeah, I could. Unfortunately, it doesn't always work that way because there are certain tricks like Wirewood on upkeep that makes it so that you can't always shortcut. In this case, the other thing is if you float your mana, your opponent has the leverage in the sense that they can respond to that, and they know what your play is. Surprisingly, we're ahead on clock though. I would say this is the only fair matchup I don't really enjoy playing because of Tabernacle. It's kind of bust now or never with Guy's Cradle right now. All right, so let's see if we draw it. Yeah, Elder Scale Worm is interesting in this matchup because they can't 20-20 you. The problem is, um, at some point they can get Tabernacle plus Ghost Quarter, and then you run out of ways to pay for the Elder Scale Worm. I think here they can just pay with everybody. Yeah, I believe it. I mean, I'm sorry Chat has to suffer through this right now because it's technically not over, but it's just miserable to play through. Like, we're not technically dead, but it's just not really enjoyable. The matchup isn't that bad in my opinion. It used to be probably worse. Um, I think cards like Oko just don't do anything against us. Uh, the thing though is, the games usually don't feel very close or interactive. Oh, nice. Yeah, Surgical is nice. I like Leyline better, but Surgical does help. Just because you hit Loam and Punishing Fire in the old builds. Sure. Alright, now we're dead. So, post-board, it gets a lot better. In game one, you just hope to race. Unfortunately, we tried and they got this online too quickly. And we really, I can't emphasize this enough, you really need Guy's Cradle in this matchup. Preferably two, in case the first gets wastelanded. So the good thing is we have a virtual 6 now with crop rotation. Given they're on the blue version, I like Progenitus here because Oko can deal with the. Here's the way I sideboard, by the way. I board out the Collector Oof because that card is only really there to try to cheese wins, and I think that's rare that you can cheese a win here against lands. But the crop rotation should help a lot, and because we have more ways to win on the same turn and pay for Tabernacle. Um, So yeah, we went 0-5 in game ones this league, which is very rare. I actually it's kind of a announcer's jinx, right? I announced that I like the main deck a lot, and then we go 0-5 in this league. We are 3-1 at the moment, cause so we won games 2 and 3 in rounds 1 to 3, but we lost to what did we lose to? Omnito in round 4, which I think is a harder matchup. So this has everything we want. Um, we have the potential turn 2 natural order, which is pretty sick. Um, for those unaware, the Query Ranger allows turn 2 Progenitus here. Okay, so let me see. We can go Glimpse, Ranger, untap, play another Druid, tap. So we can actually Glimpse as well. We run the risk of drawing the Progenitus, but I think it's worth it based on what they possibly could have. And Progenitus does still lose to a Progenitus still lose to the Merit Lage, so that's why. Here it's okay to go for it because we have 3. Sorry, we have the extra untap from the Ranger. But if you don't have 3 L's, it's risky to go for it there. Alright, so this worked out exactly how we wanted. I'm gonna pitch the Birchlord because we want redundant Heritage Druid and Query Ranger. And now we don't lose to a Merit Lage either. So that was probably as good a turn 2 you can have with this deck. Without upright winning, which is harder to do. This deck can win on turn 2 with the Reclaimer, but it is not easy. You have to draw more of your deck. Turn 2 kill. So they made crop rotation for Tabernacle, maybe? No. Sure. We're gonna try to conceal the Karakas this turn. There isn't a reason to. So our turn, we're still on a turn 2 clock. So I'm just gonna once upon a time to see what we draw. So the Cradle is good to pay for the Tabernacle in case it comes up. And there's no need to get an extra damage there. It's not gonna matter. This way we conceal a Karakas too. In hindsight, we actually should have played the Forest because in case they had the Blast Zone plus the Wasteland plus the Tabernacle on the same turn, which is admittedly very difficult to do. Okay, so we got. Is there a way to kill a Progenitus? Not from them. They can only race it, or they can either race it with Merit Lage, or if they have a Glacial Chasm, there's that. But that one is also not both. The Glacial Chasm they would have to present a clock too, because then they start losing a lot of life, and they lose lands too. So they would need some kind of exploration effect. All right, so we win this. We can salvage the 4-1, which is still good. I'll take 4-1. If you can tell me any day what that I can go 4-1 in the league, I'll take it. Would have been nice to 5-0 on stream for the first time, but we didn't get there against Omnitel, which the game played out very strangely compared to how it normally did. So, and we lost game one, which is the norm. So I can't be too mad. Not great, but we have to keep. We can't really mold to natural order in this matchup, which is the best way to win, in my opinion, against lands. So they have a creature start as well. Thanks, appreciate the raid, Legacy Pit. So for everybody joining, oh, Gaia's Cradle. We are 3-1 in this league. We've lost every round, game one, surprisingly. But we did win games 2 and 3 in rounds 1 through 3. We lost to Omnito in round 4. This is round 5 against Lance. This is game 3. They won game 1. We won game 2. We lost a kind of miserable matchup. In we kind of lost to a miserable game 1 to Tabernacle. And there's a chance it's gonna happen right now too. Yep, there it is. It is. I should really pick it up. I just haven't picked up the original Cradle because it's more expensive, and I just didn't feel like it at the time. But I should. Maybe it'll go down, hopefully. But Elves is pretty popular right now, so maybe not. It is. It's not even unbeatable. I beat it many times. It's just miserable to play against. Is the thing. Yeah, sorry about that. I agree. This is Chad is right. This is a very tacky Cradle. I will take the blame for that. So if we win this here, we can go 4-1. We won the first 3, lost Omnitel. We lost strangely every game 1 in this league, but we got theirs games 2 and 3 in round 1 to 3, and I don't know what they're gonna do here, but let's see. So they have a port activation up. I'm just gonna use the Druid to pay for each of the creatures. That leaves us with 1 mana. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I posted that it was ironic, and they missed the Richard port there. It's ironic that the tournament that allowed me to get this, we won it with Elves, and it's ironic that the achievement, the avatar we get is Reanimate, which is one of traditionally Elves' worst matchups. So I wonder if they have. Okay, so they may crop rotate for a. They might be getting the Merit Lage combo. That's funny. So if they blast zone here, I'm not too upset because they hit their exploration too. I'm not sure if they're aware of that. And they just lost their reclaimer. They might be doing like it. This board state is very scary to a natural order. Sure. Reanimator has been traditionally the weak, hardest matchup, but the thing is, it you can. I actually think it's not as bad because the hate you run for is stronger if you want to run Leyline. There isn't really a good answer out of L's for Sneak and Show. Discard is the best, but it's not great. So I would want a natural order top deck. That is not it. I think I'm just gonna play this out in case I get a glimpse. Yeah, Sneak is probably worse only because um, there's no real good hate you can run for it. If Reanimator were popular, I would aside from dropping elves, you can play Leyline of the Void, which is a high impact card, and the fact that Elvish Reclaimer is already in the deck is, and yeah, main deck ball, you can steal wins. Um, I think if you have room in your sideboards. Yeah, exactly. It's just not fun to have to always run Leyline though, but it's almost like the non-blue Force of Will. I don't think it matters too much here, but yeah, there's merit to. The thing is, I already have 4 mana if with the Cradle, so it doesn't really matter. Well, I guess with the port, it does. I kept the play a fetch. Essentially, what I'm looking for now is a big glimpse turn. So I need the second creature to have. A rule of thumb is you want 2 creatures in hand. Thanks, David. I appreciate you tuning in, though. Yeah, so a rule of thumb for glimpses, you want either 2 creatures in hand or uh, one in hand and a Wirewood or 2 Wirewoods in play because those are effective draws or creatures. Okay, so they cast a Euro that's very far away still. They didn't attack, which is kind of strange. I think I want to thin out my deck here. I can't afford to draw more lands. And they already have Wasteland, so they can Wasteland me if they wanted to. This might be the turn to try to go off if we draw a creature. There it is. Close, not quite. Can deal a lot of damage on the right side and start to really pressure their life total. Jeez. Okay, was not expecting that. Was not expecting that. My big trap is typically not good against elves too, but okay. So now we're kind of all in on Progenitus or Allosaurus Shepherd. They don't have much of a clock, which is the only bright side, but just paying through a tabernacle is not any fun. Yeah, I am kind of surprised by that mind break draft, but it is interesting. Hmm. Okay. Here is kind of interesting. This green sun actually can find Allosaurus Shepherd, and we can start attacking now. But is it worth it? So I can tap and get the Allosaurus Shepherd out. Problem is, the Tabernacle next turn. So we have to wait a turn. Oh, and it helped that they didn't port. That's huge. That hurts. Hmm. So we have 5 mana. Okay. It's difficult without Progenitus here, I think, because of the wasteland now. I think here we have to bite the bullet another turn and get the wasteland off the ground. Off get the loam away. Let's see. They loam back. Blast zone, wasteland. Jeez. So I think we have to get rid of the loam. As painful as that is right now. Okay, so they made Blast Zone right here. This is a very grindy game. So here, I think I may be priced into playing the Gaia's Cradle because I need to find action. Okay, so they didn't. Here we're just gonna try to dig deep and hope they don't have another wasteland. Even if they tutor for it, it's still online at minimum 2 turns from now. This has been a grind fest. They used one wasteland already. We have the third cradle, which helps. Oh my goodness, Blast Zone. Okay, so now it's kind of now or never because they can recurve Blast Zone every turn. Hopefully we're close to natural order soon. And here you want to tap the Gaia's Cradle because they have a portal. This having this second cradle here is crucial. That's that's potentially helpful too. So we've used up one Bayou. There's no more fetchable lands. I'm okay with visionarying here because we have a rotation in hand. Uh, this is tough. Blast Zone again. Yeah, they are, and I think that's why we're still in the game because they haven't threatened us at all. We just haven't drawn the natural order that we needed. That's the problem. And here, same thing. We want to tap the cradle because they have a Rashad import up, and I think they just want to play a creature game, and I think that actually helps us, to be honest. Sure. We just need to draw into a glimpse or a natural order here, and I think we would be in good shape. I think I'm gonna play the Ranger here so that I can get more mana. Yeah, the guy's cradle is huge right now. Where are you, natural order? Sure. Thank goodness, there it is. We got there, guys. So they're on a 2-turn clock now. We have Caracas up. So I feel really good. I think they try to cheese us out, and unfortunately, that I think gives us more time to find our answers. So I think I feel good about this now. Sure. They may be trying to get our lands so that we can't pay for everything, but that's fine. We do have a backup cradle and a rotation too, which are huge. I don't even think we care about the visionary. Sure. Whew. We got there, boys. That was not fun to play through, but like I said, you can beat a Tabernacle, especially if they are really forcing the issue with their own creatures. We have one land that pays for everything, like Romario said, and if they're not gonna pressure us, that's what can happen. Um, so we got the 4-1 guys, and I think overall I'm happy with the play of the deck. We strangely lost all our game ones, but I think that's more of an anomaly than anything else. But yeah, that was a fun one. Well, when I say fun, the result was fun, but when you're in it, it's a little bit miserable to play through. But you got to be patient, and crop rotation, and and the power Guy's Cradle was on full display there because I mentioned earlier there's no way you can win this matchup without Guy's Cradle, and having a virtual six or sometimes Reclaimer can find it, but it's a little slow. You just have to play it out, and if they are gonna aggressively go for a Tabernacle instead of going for a Merit Lage, it can get into a real grind fest, and the natural orders came in through because I don't want to randomly lose on Oko. Let's talk about the. Yeah, that was a grind. Let's see. I don't know how long that game was altogether, but it seemed like it was a while. I can go over the deck we just played actually. Yeah. All right. So, did anybody have any questions? I guess I can just register this again. It'll be easier to review. Also, does anybody know how to change your avatar back to the Birds of Paradise? So I don't know if you guys saw, but let me hide event. I recently got this today. This animate reanimate avatar, and I had the Birds of Paradise original. Yeah, I went to the account settings to change it, and it was my first time changing it. But for whatever reason, it's not allowing me to go back to the Birds of Paradise avatar anymore, and I don't know why. So I'm referring to like this one, for instance, the orange one that's associated with most new players. I tend to like it only because I like keeping default settings. But I don't know if it's because I don't own it or whatnot, and they just gave it to me by default to start off with. You should do after you are done. Yeah, I agree, but I know what you're referring to, Roman, because they have sensitive information. But I'm referring. Yeah, yeah. Thanks for the heads up. I know exactly what you're referring to, but doesn't seem like I have the avatar there. Um, Let me see. Okay, I'm not gonna play a match. I'm just gonna go through my deck. Oops, cancel. So that was a grindy match for sure, but I think the rotations show why they're strong there because you need to have access to Cradle in that matchup, and it was insurance. Uh, the other thing that was huge was I think I had the bog to turn off the Ghost Quarter, and I think I would have lost on the spot if it weren't for. It was tough because I had to take a turn off to Reclaimer for the bog, but I think I lose the game otherwise. When they got on Excavator plus Ghost Quarter. Let's see. Does Chad have any questions about the deck list? Also, Romario, when's a good time next week? I normally stream once a week. What I can do is I can come on your stream or you can come on mine, either way, and we can do an elf stream together. So for anybody who's interested, Romario is an excellent Doomsday player who's been wanting to pick up elves because he has Cradles in paper. Cool, cool. Sounds good. Like, yeah, I think today I started like just before 7 Pacific, which is 10 Eastern. But I'm very much looking forward to doing a stream with Romario, who is a Doomsday expert. Thanks for the follow, Legacy Pit. I appreciate it. This deck has been treating me really well. Yeah, we'll discuss it offline, Romero. But for those who are interested, we are gonna team up pretty soon for another stream. Well, our first stream together, and Romero will be piloting Reclaimer elves. Uh, I think it's interesting too because sometimes the public doesn't really differentiate between elves because um, most of the cards are the same, or at least most of the game-winning cards, like Glimpse of Nature, Natural Order, Green Sun Zenith. But I think this version of the deck is a little bit slower, but a lot more resilient. And the way games play out because of Reclaimer, it's pretty different. I would say the difference is similar to Tess and Ant. Tess wants to go faster and is more committed to going as fast as possible. Ant tends to go a little slower and wants to play a longer game. So, and congratulations to Brian Cook, by the way. Speaking of tests, he won this past weekend, I believe. It was the PTQ and the Legacy Challenge on Sunday. So, shout out to Brian for that. But on that topic, I played a version not exactly to this. I didn't have the fourth decay for the PTQ, and it hurt because Delver opponents will now just mulligan aggressively to Arcanist because they don't think they can win a longer game. So you have to be able to punish that aggressive mulligan strategy with higher density of decay, in my opinion. I lost my two matches to Delver. I played 5 tempo matchups actually in the PTQ, won 3 of them. But I went 5-2, and the 2 losses were to Delver. I think not having the fourth decay hurt. I think the Cabal Pit has been excellent. For anybody who missed it earlier, we had a super sweet kill through Peacekeeper against Miracles because I think they probably assumed we didn't have any removal post board, and they stuck a Peacekeeper, and we eventually found a Reclaimer, and then they actually let it live. They had an Oko on board, but didn't realize that I could find a Cabal Pit, and following turn end step, tutor for the Cabal Pit, took out the Peacekeeper, and that was lethal because they were already at 1. So yeah, I think the sideboard felt good. I don't know about the Cabal therapies. This is like highly dependent on your metagame. I would say the main deck in this version is pretty stock. Let me know when you're ready to set up those to 4 more. So Tom has played a older iteration of this deck, and I know he's been like super nice to me. He's the king of crop rotation, so if it's gonna take 4 crop rotation for Tom to play this deck, I actually have played 4 crop rotation in this build before Tom. This was when Gyruda was popular, and Leyline of the Void is a blank. So I ran 1 crop rotation main and 3 Leyline. 3 crop rotation in the sideboard because I didn't want to lose to Gyruda, and because it was fairly popular at the time, and Leyline didn't do anything. So at the time, Reanimator wasn't too popular too. So I just took the risk of not being able to beat Reanimator. But I did run 4 crop rotation before Tom. Does that interest you at all? Just curious. Yeah, so the main deck looked like this, except it had 1 crop rotation instead of the Collector Oof. The Collector Oof was in the sideboard at the time during Companion era. And then the 3 crops were in here to fight against Gyruda because he had the 1 Karakas. But I would say in this version of the deck, 59 out of the 60 are pretty like set in stone. If you want to play a Cavern of Souls, which George Heinrich has done instead of the 9th fetch, you can. Nurturing Peatland or Horizon are fine too. I just like the higher density because if Rug Delver is going to mull to Arcanist, you need to make sure Reclaimer is a consistent 3/4 to take it off the board. And I feel really good about the Rug Delver matchup at the moment with the 4th Decay and the 9 fetches. This is the most stable the mana base has been, and like I said, this is the most. This 60 has been locked in for, I would say, a few months now. Since the last time it changed was the Companion era. I may experiment, but any tournament I'm playing this exact 60 for the most part. The flex spots tend to be the 2 crop rotation and the 2 Cabal therapy. The 4th Decay, but I think the 4th Decay is kind of a necessary evil at the moment because of Arcanist. And it's the best feeling when you're playing against Rug Delver and you have multiple decays in your opening hand and have like 3 lands, for instance. You essentially can't lose. And they can have all the sweepers they want, but you eventually grind them out if you have the decay to deal with the Arcanist. So if Reanimator is popular, for instance, and shout out to Jax again for his 5-0 with Oops. If you're running into a lot of Oops because of Jax, Leyline of the Void is a consideration in the 4 flex spots, in my opinion, right now, which are the 2 crop and the 2 Cabal therapy. And if you're Tom, might as well just take out the Cabal therapies and play 4 crops, right? Or move 1 crop to the main, move the oof to the side. But if you want to respect Brian Cook, you play the collector oof main. Uh, so does Chad have any questions? And thanks again for everybody who stayed. I know this was a raid from Legacy Pit, so that was super sweet. Appreciate that, by the way. Yeah, there's no mind break trap unless Jax gets really out of hand. But I tend to build this sideboard. I don't want to target one deck per se, but I want to make it well rounded. The only deck I really keep in mind when I build a deck, opposing deck I should say, is I keep Rogue Delver in mind because I want to make my 60 and overall 75 good against Rogue Delver without any extreme cards like Snuff Out or things like that, for instance. Or yeah, so Tom getting a 5-0 with traps doesn't surprise me because Tom is the current and has been a former also reigning trophy king. Was this main deck, Tom? Just curious. I'm assuming sideboard. I wouldn't be surprised if it's main because Tom can do anything. But yeah, I think a common question I ask is how come one Shepherd, and I'll answer it again for anybody who missed it earlier. It's because I don't think you need more than one in this build, and the reason being is, and this is probably gonna sound a little overly critical, but you want to generate mana, and that's actually if you're playing against elves and you're struggling against elves, um, the key choke point for elves is generating mana, and you can only afford, in my opinion, so many elves that don't generate mana. Ranger lets you hit your land drop, so that's essentially mana generation. Heritage Druid, everybody knows what that does. Taps 3, generate 3. Birchlore is actually secretly one of the better cards in the deck because it's like a hasted Landlord Elf. You can play it and other elves the same turn, and it gives you 6 effects that are very good with Glimpse of Nature. So that only leaves now. Visionary doesn't generate mana, and neither does Wirewood. Only on untaps. So, in my opinion, I want to minimize the number of cards that don't generate mana, and having to choose between Reclaimer and Shepherd, that's an easy decision for me personally because Reclaimer helps in the hard matchups. Depths, you have a pretty good depths matchup unless you're facing Tom, who I can't beat. Uh, I think so. I remember when Shepard wasn't so popular, and people asked me, "Oh, are you playing one because you don't have access to more?" That's not true. I had access to 3 day one, and I told Jax, who I talk to about this deck frequently, that um, I think one is the correct number in this build because you just want the 1 to 2 to 4 against Chalice decks, and the threat of Green Sun turning on your natural orders. So essentially making Green Sun a must counter spell now. That's why I think one is the correct spell. If you want to play more, what you can do is you can move the oof to the sideboard, and that gives you the second one. And what I did before for the third one when I first started testing it in this build was actually move the bog to the sideboard too. The thing is, you actually want bog in almost every match. That's fair. And in the ones where bog isn't great, it's not the reason why you lose. So that's why I think it's important to have bog main. Also, Reanimator is one of your worst matchups, and it helps a little bit. And with Hogak being popular due to Rug Delver preying on it, I think you definitely want access to bog main deck, which I've stolen a lot of game ones from Hogak. And traditionally, Elves has had trouble game one against those kind of decks. The other thing Shepard does, yeah, I agree. Oof is just so powerful. Sometimes it's just a 2 mana bear, but when it's good, it reads win target game, and especially with Urza Echo being a very popular strategy, and just Astrolabe, there's like random things where Oof isn't completely dead, and I think Elves is one of the few decks where you actually don't even get hurt at all by it, unlike Mox Diamond decks, which sometimes run it as a Green Sun target. It's completely it's asymmetrical. Sorry, it's asymmetrical in our build. So I think I like the Oof main. So That's why there's only one Shepherd. Exactly, and I know GTA is down at the moment, but it's also on out to GTA if they ever get it online. Just also stone raining any Mox Diamond deck, stopping Aether Vial out of Esper Vial. It tend or goblins if Eli's still on, but it tends to be pretty live. I'm trying to think what else. Any Lotus Petal LED deck, because tests should be more popular now. I ran into it recently. It's funny too because my last league on Tuesday, I wasn't gonna play a league that night because I was watching my team, choke away another potential conference finals. My team being the Clippers, but I wanted to get my mind off the game, so I played one last league on Tuesday night, and I 5-0, and one of the matches, Oof came up big because I played against Tess, and it won. It was able to steal game one because I went turn one, some elf, but then they played out their Wish Claw turn one, and then I Green Sun for three off Heritage Mana turn two. So pretty huge there. Yeah, I think that does it. Uh, this card is. I have a love and hate relationship with Progenitus. It's when I draw, it's about the worst possible thing, and anybody who's talked to an elf player knows that. But it's been so good, and I think it's the best it's ever been because with planeswalkers such as Teferi and Oko, especially Oko, you can't really afford to you can't really afford to have your cheated in creature be vulnerable to any kind of removal. So it's won me a ton of games, and I think might have won one late earlier tonight too with it. Thanks for the raid, Wing Husser, MTG. I was just actually I was just wrapping up actually, but did anybody from the raid have a question with this build? I finished 4-1 in the league just now, and we lost every game one, but we did win games two and three rounds. One, two, three, and five. Round four, we lost to Omnitel. So kind of a weird night, but I was explaining why there was only one Shepherd, and the reason being was you can only have so many elves not make mana, and I think I value Reclaimer more, just because it helps in the harder matchups. Also, in any blue deck, you can typically grind them out with Wirewood and Elvish Visionary. The one cool highlight for the night was using Cabal Pit to kill a Peacekeeper when we boarded out all our other removal otherwise. Or we didn't board a Decays, I should say. Any questions from anybody before I sign off for the night? All right, thanks everybody for tuning in. It means a lot that a lot of you guys stayed the whole time. It was a lot of fun too, just chatting it up and bouncing back after our game one losses. 4-1 is still very good. We can't 5-0 like Tom always does, but I'll take it. All right. My next stream will probably be with Romario sometime next week, so keep an eye out for that. He'll be piloting Reclaimer Elves. Thanks everyone for tuning in.